Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do One Piece Chapter 677 review. Now, this chapter, One Piece, the beginning of this chapter, I was like, an alliance, a fucking alliance between these three is crazy. Crazy shit. But also there's the stuff with the escape, how we see Law and Luffy and the guys, and they escape their cages. We see, it was pretty funny about like watching Sanji. Like we see Sanji and Kinemon, Zoro, and Brook, and they're running from the gas. And we see Sanji because he's inside Nami's body, and Nami can't maintain this level of strength, so he starts to fall behind. All of a sudden, he grabs, he grabs a titty, and oh shit, he's gone. He's gone. Like, what the fuck? So, that was really funny right there. And then he catches the dragon, like that. And then we see, Nami, and we see Usopp, and they're riding Brownbeard, which is kind of weird, because Brownbeard, like, you would think he would, be dead, since Brownbeard, well, first of all, he got Yeti Cool Brothered, straight cannonball to the face, and then the second thing is that Caesar Clown enveloped him in the big ass explosion, so it's kind of weird. I mean, the way I see it is that Brownbeard right now is like, he's kind of like Pell, where Pell took a nuke. He took a nuke point blank and survived, and it was like, what the fuck? It was very strange. And Brownbeard here should have been dead. He should be like legitimately dead, but apparently he's A-okay. Well, wounded, but still alive. So it is kind of weird. And then we see how those two groups, Kinemon, Zoro, Sanji, and Brook, they merge with, basically the dragon that they're riding on grabs on Brownbeard's tail, and then they bust in through the shutters where they're being, where the laboratory is, and then we see the stuff with Luffy, and they're all causing havoc and shit. They open the shutters for the Marines to get in, and then, and then all this stuff. So basically, overall, this chapter was a good chapter of One Piece. Yet again, a good chapter of One Piece. So, that being said, let's dive right into the summary. So, this chapter starts off very, 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 very strong. Like, yo! What the fuck? So what happens here is that we see that some of the brokers are watching the shit go down, and then we see Kid. We actually see Kid. No Shadow, no. We see Kid. And Kid, he looks a lot different. He has a metallic arm. He has a lot of scars on his body, so clearly the New World has put him through a lot of situations. And that makes sense to me, because Kid, he's rambunctious. He is boisterous, and so when he goes into like a room, Kid lets you know that he's in the fucking room, and so I can see him, and like we already know that he's beefy with Big Man, so people, this may hit at a fucking 3-on-1. Maybe Luffy, Law, and Kid face off against Big Man. I would love to see that. I would love to see that shit. Big Man, and like to be honest, like she's a Yoko, all right. I mean, I know Luffy's gotten a lot better when it comes to power and skill, and even though we haven't seen Luffy, Sanji, or Zoro go all out in a fight, I'm going to assume that Luffy right now and Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro, they're probably like top mid-tier. I mean, I don't think that they can handle the top tier guys like Big Man, Shanks, Kaido, Blackbeard, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, Dragon. So like the list goes on. So I highly doubt that. But whatever. Basically, so there we see Kid and we see Killer. These two have new bounties. Killer has a bounty of 200 million, and Kid has the second highest bounty recorded in One Piece thus far, which is 470 million belly. So clearly Kid has done a lot of shit. He started off at like 320. He went up by 150 million in the course of 2 years. Props props to Kid. And then we see, you know, and basically, so yeah, like let's move on. And basically, we see that, you know, like he sees Law. He's like, you know, well, I thought that Law was gonna be a dog in the military, but he was scheming something, and then he sees Luffy like, oh yeah, Luffy, like, you're back, good shit. And then they go to a room, and then all of a sudden we see Scratchman Apu, and we see Basil Hawkins. Scratchman Apu, his new bounty is 350 million, while Hawkins is 320 million. So this is kind of unique because Apu started off lower than Hawkins, but now he's higher than Hawkins. So clearly Hawkins has been a little bit on the down low, while Apu has been, you know, skyrocketing. So basically what happens here is that apparently Kid had invited Kid invited Hawkins and Apu to his hideout so they can have an alliance. But what happens is that, you know, Apu, apparently he messed up their hideout because he was fearing a sniper attack, and according to him, when you're invited by the enemy, then you expect to fight. So, you know, he wrecked the place, and him and Kid go on like a, you know, confrontation, while Hawkins like, well, this is stupid, I'm gonna walk out. But then it's Killer who kind of, you know, it was Killer who reminds them that they're trying to form an alliance here for some reason. I'm not sure why, but they're gonna form an alliance. Probably to take out one of the Yoko. Like the same thing with Luffy. I mean, we have two alliances here between the Supernova. We have Law and Luffy, and then we have, you know, Hawkins, Apu, and Kid, and that there is really cool, really cool. So, that's part one. Yeah, part two is the escape. We see them escape from the cage that, you know, or the crane. What happens here is that Law wants someone with fire to set the ship ablaze, and Frankie does so. He makes a giant fireball, and the ship that was originally cut by, the marine ship that was cut by Law, when Law and Smoker were fighting, that is set on fire. All the smoke reaches the cage, or the crane, where the guys are trapped in, and then what happens here is that Law cuts through the chains. Because the smoke is enveloping the cage, and Caesar Clown and the others, they can't see what's going on. So what happens here is that Law cuts the chain, and then he explains how he had previously set up metal chains beforehand in case something went wrong. In case he got captured, then these chains would be metal chains, not Kairoseki chains. So he breaks through them, and this shows that Law is, you know, very smart, very smart. So what happens here is that he breaks through the chains. And you know, since Virgo had his heart, then he couldn't do shit about it then. So basically, he breaks through the chains, and then we see them, you know, he cuts through the chains of Robin, Luffy, and the thing here that's kind of weird is that he's able to cut through Luffy's Kairoseki chains. And that's kind of weird, because I always figured that Kairoseki was uncuttable. I mean, at least no one that I know of, until now, was able to cut through Kairoseki. So what I'm thinking here is that maybe at some point Law switched the Kairoseki chains with the metal chains. I mean, I'm not too sure how he did that, but as of right now, either he did that or Law cut through Kairoseki, and that's kind of, you know, that's kind of weird. So yeah, it is kind of weird, but but basically. They free, well, like Frankie, Robin, and Luffy, they're freed, and then what happens here is that he sees Smoker Tashigi. Now he makes them back into their original bodies. They're like their consciousness returns to their original bodies, and then Tashigi wants to be freed. Smoker, on the other hand, is like, no, fuck that shit, because they're pirates and they're the enemy. But at the end of the day, Law winds up freeing Smoker and Tashigi on the condition that Tashigi and Smoker forget everything with Law and Joker. That they forget all that shit. And of course, also, if Smoker were to, you know, like remain alive and get out of the island, then they can kick off Virgo from his position as Vice Admiral. So clearly, you know, they want to do that. And you know, what happens here, at the same time, Luffy and Robin and Frankie, like, they escape the cage and shit, and they're already, like, going into, like, the laboratory. So, and basically that's it for section 2. Now, section 3 is, a little section 3. We see, you know, the guys, Sanji, Zoro, Kinemon, and Brook. They're running away from the smoke, and what happens is that, you know, Sanji is inside Nami's body, And even though he's running really fast, he can't maintain that speed because, you know, Nami doesn't have that physical stamina and all that shit. So what ends up happening is that he starts to fall back. And as he's falling back, he's like, oh my god, I can't take it anymore. Nami's heart, Nami's body. And then he grabs Titty, and he blitzes forward. He is gone. He caught that dragon. He's like, yo, let's get the fuck out of here. And Zoro's like, what the hell is that? So that was really fun right there. Section 4 is going to be a little thing with like, you know, like again, we see, what's his name? Brownbeard. And Brownbeard is riding, he's carrying Usopp and Nami, and they're running towards the laboratory. And they kind of meet up with like Zoro and Kinema and the rest of them. And the dragon bites on, it bites on Brownbeard's crocodile tail thing, and they are all running towards the laboratory. And then what happens here is that the shutters the Marines are outside of the laboratory trying to get in, and then the shutters, they open up, and oh shit, the shutters open up, so they run to the laboratory, and then Caesar Clown's henchmen, they're like, what the hell's going on here? Who pushed the lever? They turn around, and bam! Here's Robin, Frankie, Luffy, fucking Tashigi, Smoker, and Law. And Law's like, yeah, bitch, that's right, we opened this shit. What now? What now, nigga? What now? So, basically, the shutters are open, and then what happens here is that the Marines blast in there, but the other the other shutters are still closed. And we see Zoro and the rest of them, and they're running towards, like, they're running towards the shutters that are closed. And what happens here is that, Zoro's like, yo, Kinema, can you cut iron? He's like, yeah, no problem. And, they both cock back, like, here you go, Santori, Firefox style, here we go. So, they're ready to go. And then they cut through the iron shutters, they bust in there, and then all of them are there. Everyone is inside is inside the laboratory. And then Luffy sees that. He's like, oh, there's a mess, there's a mess down there. Like, even Zoro's in there. So let's go crazy. And then right there is the end of the chapter. So clearly this chapter was a good chapter. Again, the pacing of this chapter, good pacing. I mean, point A to point B. We see the escape plan. We see them all meet up at the same point. Law is probably going to return the bodies of Sanji and Nami back together. That'll be good, because I want to see Sanji do some action, obviously. And also the stuff with Kid, with Hawkins, with Apu, that's very good stuff. Another alliance being formed amongst the supernova of Shibuya Archipelago. Good stuff, good stuff. And overall, a good chapter One Piece. Yet again, another good chapter One Piece. So, that being said, King of Lightning, and I'll see you guys later. This chapter, is there anything else? I'm not too sure. Yeah, of course. The fact of the matter remains that the poison gas, now that the shutters are open, the poison gas is going to seep inside the laboratory. So, maybe Virgo or Monet, they may get caught with the poison gas, who knows? We'll see in the future. And Caesar Clown, what is Caesar Clown going to do now? Remember, the bag of apples is still near the explosion site where Smiley, exploded. So, who's going to go and get the bag of apples? Possibility, I was hearing that somewhere in the future, and this is like a really big rumor, like this is probably so wrong. This is probably so fucking wrong. But I was hearing that Usopp was gonna get a double fruit. Yo, I'm just saying. All right. If Usopp walks over, oh shit, what's this apple? Usopp rocking the fucking devil fruit powers. Maybe. Who knows? So, that being said, King of Lightning, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Have a nice day.